How are we doing, guys? ALTV, QPR versus Leeds, match preview of the game. So it's another trip to London. Hopefully, there's only 2 more trips to London to go. This one on Saturday and then another against Brentford in early February. Hopefully that is the last we'll have to see of London for this season anyway, because if it's not, it means we've not made the top 2 at the end of the day. And we don't want to go into that anyway. We want this to be one of our last 2 trips to London this season. Because if it's not, it means things have gone badly. But I'm going to move on anyway. I'm going to move on from that straight away. I think it's December 2017, the last time we won in London. Ironically, it was actually against QPR when Thomas Christiansen was in charge. We may have won more recently than that, but from what I can see, that's the last time we won in London. So it was a long time, isn't it? But I don't want to get too into this stat. You know, at the end of the day, it's just purely coincidental. We've not played particularly badly in the games. We've had the decision go against us at Millwall, the decision go against us against Fulham, and then obviously Arsenal, we played really well. So I can't really say we've been terrible. It's just we haven't got the results. You know, I won't read too much into it for me. But yeah, I think the main thing is on Saturday, win. Just win the game. Just win the game. It doesn't matter how good or bad it is. Just win the game. And we've just got to go back to the basics for me. So I'm going to start the team I'd go with. I always make changes in this game. You know, I think now is the time where you look at it, 1 win in 6. You know, I think everyone's played their part this season. You look at the position we're in the table. You know, we're still in a fantastic position. I know the worries are starting to creep in. You know, we're sort of repeating what we did last season up to now. But at the end of the day, if you'd have said in August we'd be 6 points clear of 3rd place, etc., etc., we'd have been happy. And that's the thing, we'd have been happy. And as Marcelo Bielsa says, you know, in a league like this, it's never going to be plain sailing all the way through. It's just simply not going to happen. No matter how good you are, all teams have a dodgy spell at some point. You know, we've already had a bit of a dodgy spell around September, October. We recovered from that well, I felt. You know, we're having times where we're sort of being tested of our mentality. I think at the moment, I think there's 3 issues with the team at the moment. I think the big one for me, the big one, I don't think gets anywhere near enough mention, is the defensive situation. We've conceded 13 goals in 6 games. You know, there's been a lot made of Patrick Bamford's missing chances. We're not finishing chances. We've scored a lot of goals, to be fair, in the last sort of 6 or 7 games. Yeah, we scored 3 against Cardiff, 5 against Birmingham. And yeah, you know, okay, maybe rare occasions. I'm not going to say our finishing is fantastic, but the main problem for me at the moment is the defence. We're making too many unforced errors. It's difficult to put anything specific on it because it's very much the same back 4, keeper, holding midfielder in KP. It's what it was at the start of the season when we were absolutely fantastic, or up to sort of 6 weeks ago when we were absolutely fantastic. The last time we kept a clean sheet, by the way. So it's not a case of we've had injuries in those areas. I just think it's genuinely a loss of form from individuals. Look at Liam Cooper. I love Liam Cooper. Fantastic player in this football club. Fantastic captain. But at the moment, there's no denying Liam Cooper is not on it at the moment. You know, I want to see a real captain's performance from Liam Cooper if he's playing on Saturday. I want to see a real captain's performance there. You know, winning his duels early on. Setting the tempo early doors. You know, winning this duel against Jordan Hugill or Naki Wells, whoever it is. It's so important that he brings calm to the team. I think that's something he does, but I just want to see it on the pitch. The composure he's showing all season up until very, very recently. You know, he's just not quite on it for me at the moment. Obviously, the left back situation is not great. You know, obviously Alioski's been played there a couple of times. He's not suited to that position. Barry Douglas is injured again. And Stuart Dallas will probably go into left back, and Stuart Dallas is playing absolutely phenomenal at full back this season. I think that's something we have missed. Yeah, it's something we have missed is Stuart Dallas going to the midfield. We've missed his influence from full-back. You know, his energy going forward, his defensive responsibilities. I think that's a massive boost having Stuart Dallas back in the full-back position. Yes, Bielsa's hands has been forced somewhat in the fact that we've got injuries all over the place. But this could be a good thing. This could be a blessing in disguise that Stuart Dallas is going back to full-back where his best position is. And he's probably being arguably one of, if not our best player of the season when he's played at full-back. In terms of consistency, he's well up there with Ben White and KP for me when Stuart Dallas plays in that position. So that's a boost as well. Obviously, Kiko's making errors. You know, he's making too many errors. You know, I think Kiko's a great goalkeeper. I think Liam Cooper's a great defender. But at the moment, you have to look at the situation at the moment, and both are out of form. You know, confidence-wise, they don't seem to be quite on it at the moment. And for me, you know, the way the season's going, I'd make changes purely on the basis of how Meslier and Berardi played in the cup games. You know, Berardi's gone up against Alexander Lacazette and done a fantastic job against him. You know, one of the best strikers in England, and he's just done a fantastic job against him. And he's played well whenever he's filled in this season. I just think for now, we've got to find solutions to that defensive problem. For me, It's not a case of the unit's not working well, it's individuals making mistakes. Because despite all these goals we conceded in 13 in 6 games, you have to say, in terms of chances created against us, it's not any different to what it was at the start of the season. You know, when we're in the middle of our clean sheet run. You know, it's no different. The problem is individual mistakes. It's not the unit is still working really, really well. Ben White I thought was really good on Saturday. Luke Ayling, fantastic fullback. Stuart Dallas does a good job at fullback. KP screens to midfield like no other midfielder can at this level. Yeah, the unit works really, really well for me. It's just individuals making mistakes. I think that's where you have to make little personnel changes. I'm not saying Meslier is a better goalkeeper than Kiko. I'm not saying Berardi's a better defender than Cooper. But in terms of confidence, in terms of form at the moment, I think those changes have to be made. That's just my personal opinion. You know, I think we have got to look at that situation and say, look, it's not 2 or 3 games, we're talking 6 or 7 games where both have been totally out of form. And we've got to be ruthless. If you want to get at this level, you have to be ruthless. You know, we can't be nice all the time and say, okay, you can play yourself back into form. We've got to be ruthless at times and say, look, this is Leeds United. We have to get promoted this season, because if we don't get promoted this season, you know, you look at the situation, I'm not going to go into it, but everyone knows, everyone's commented. You know, reading the YouTube comments, it frightens me in the sense that, you know, I don't like to think about it if we don't get promoted. But that has got to be something we've got to think about and say, you know, it's all well and good saying give players chances and that lot, but if we don't get promoted this season, it could set us back a long, long way. And there's nothing we can do about that. It's just the way it is. You know, that's me being truthful now. You know, I always like to be truthful. I don't want to be negative for no reason, but that is a fact that if we don't get promoted this season, things could be very, very messy come the summer. And it's the same for any team, but for us especially, you look at the foundations we've got, it would be extremely problematic for us. You know, I think it's very much a case of we need to do it this time around. In the sense that I don't think we'll get a better opportunity. I think the league is weaker this season. You know, looking at the promotion rivals, there's only really Brentford who are showing real consistency at the moment. And yeah, it's a massive opportunity for us. It's an opportunity more than anything. But for me, I'd make the changes in the defence. I would bring in Berardi and Meslier, and Stuart Dallas will go back to left back. I don't think that's going to happen, by the way, guys. I think it will be Cooper and Casilla, but that's just my personal opinion. You know, that's my personal opinion on that. And what I do want to emphasise is, having watched Bielsa's press conference today, which I just love the passion, you know, he showed. And I want to make something clear, you know, when I do all these TV videos, and I'm sure you guys know already, you know, I don't consider myself in any way, shape or form to have a fantastic knowledge on football. All I'm offering here is my opinion on things. You know, I don't claim to know better than anyone at all. That's just something I've seen a few comments in that lot, but that's something I want to make clear. I just offer my opinion. I just look at what I see on the pitch. I don't claim to know anything about what's going on in the training ground, just purely from what I see on the pitch. Individual performances, that's what I'm basing a lot of my opinion on. You know, and that's for everyone at Leeds TV. You know, we just say what we see, kind of thing, and that's all we can do, really. You know, we certainly don't claim to know more than anyone else. Just offer a differing opinion. That's all we do to an extent. But just to get back on with it anyway, I look at the midfield areas. For me, I'd love to see Jamie Shackleton come into this game for 2 reasons. He's an out-and-out midfielder, and the energy and the enthusiasm he'll bring to this team. I just felt in the second sort of half against Sheffield Wednesday, the last sort of 30 minutes, we looked tired. We didn't have that energy in the midfield, that pressing. You know, with someone like Shackleton, who's just got a fantastic engine, he'll just press all day long, and I just like that energy he brings to the team. I think the fact that he's able to take on players in the middle of the pitch, you know, because it does become very kind of like, in a 4-1-4-1 system, you do need someone in that middle part of the pitch, playing that kind of like 10 central midfield role where he can take on players and create the spaces for the rest of the midfield to create chances or to have shots on goal and to score goals. I just don't think we've got that at the moment. With Tyler Roberts missing, I do think we massively miss that direct player in the middle who can just dribble, take on players at pace, and just offers that bit of acceleration and bursts of energy. I just feel Jamie Shackleton at the moment, you know, just make a little change, do something that QPR aren't expecting, and that's just the way I see it. I just want to see a natural central midfielder playing in the middle of the park. I doubt that will happen, but if he doesn't start, I'd like to see him come off the bench and just bring some energy to the team. That's just one thing I do think we lack a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying Shackleton's the finished article. He's not. He's a fantastic talent. I just look at the influence Robbie Gox had at Arsenal. You know, he wasn't necessarily in terms of his performance himself, in terms of he was fantastic on the ball, he was playing fantastic passes, he was dribbling at people. But you saw the difference in that midfield in the first hour or so was the energy Gox brought to it. The energy, the directness, the pace, pressing really well. you know, able to get up and down the pitch. I just felt that was really something you saw, and that was just purely through the style of player he was, not necessarily it being a fantastic Robbie Gotts performance. He played well, don't get me wrong, but it was just the influence he had on the pitch. You know, he freed up the space for Click, and Click absolutely bossed that game. And just look at that. I look at that Arsenal game and say there was a lot of things I picked up on there. The performances on Meslier, Berardi, and then that difference it made in the midfield when we had someone with a bit of energy and an actual natural central midfielder playing in that position. And then out wide. Now out wide's a difficult one. I'd definitely go Jack Harrison on the left. On the right hand side, I'm going to go Pablo. I'm going to go Pablo for the pure fact that he's our best creator. You know, he is our best creator in this team. You know, and Patrick Bamford's taken a lot of criticism lately, but the only real chance I can think of that Patrick Bamford's missed, which is in terms of a glaring chance, you know, a lot gets made of he had 3 or 4 chances against Sheffield Wednesday. He only really had one proper chance for me. You know, talk about that shot he had in the first half. There's loads of defenders around him. It's a half chance at best. But in terms of actual full-on chances, he has one against Sheffield Wednesday. He missed it horrendously, don't get me wrong. But I can't agree with this view that Patrick Bamford's costing us at the moment. It's not Patrick Bamford. The whole team in itself has to step up as well. You know, Patrick Bamford at the end of the day is our top scorer by an absolute mile. You know, we can criticise Patrick Bamford all we want, but for me, he's been absolutely fantastic this season. He's taken a lot of unfair criticism from me. Yeah, I'm not saying he's faultless. I say his finishing can improve, should be better, but in terms of the other influence he brings to the pitch, the way he makes us play, look at the West Brom game, look at the Birmingham game. You know, the way Bamford holds the ball up compared to sort of like Eddie Nketiah or other number 9s at this level. You know, it's a fantastic skill he has, and it's something we can't underestimate, especially when we play a one-up-top system. That side of the game is probably more important than goal scoring, because in the one-up-top system, you've got to get the other players involved as well. You can't just be relying on the one striker to score goals. You've got to get the players around them scoring goals as well. And look, you know, we talk about Bamford missing chances. You know, look at Elder Costa. Elder Costa missed 2 really good chances as well on Saturday. You know, it can't just be Bamford. It can't just be the striker who takes criticism for me. You know, for me, he's had a fantastic season. I back Bamford massively to put in a monster of a performance against QPR. I think that the criticism he's taken, I think the way he's improved on a personal level in terms of dealing with criticism, using it as like a fuel to really energise himself. I feel really confident with Patrick Bamford on Saturday personally. I really feel a big performance is coming off Patrick Bamford. I might come to the post-match review and regret saying this, but for me, I feel a Patrick Bamford goal coming on Saturday. I feel a big performance coming off Patrick Bamford. You know, he's answered his critics really well this season for me. And look, you know, he scored 10 goals. He should have more goals, no doubt about it. But he's been a massive influence on this team. Even if the stats don't say he has been a massive influence on the team. But for that reason, I'd chase something out wide. I'd bring in Pablo to create more chances. You know, so we get Patrick Bamford having more chances to score goals. Because look, he's never going to be a striker who's going to score with his one chance in the game. Very rarely he's going to be that kind of striker. He's someone who needs to feel the game for me. You know, he needs to be well in the game to have an influence. And to be fair, Patrick Bamford's done that really well. But to score goals, I feel he's one of those players who goes with the flow of the game. He's not someone like a Mitrovic or a Che Adams kind of striker where, you know, the team he's playing for can be up against it for 89 minutes. He finds that bit of space and scores a really scrappy goal to win the game. I don't feel Patrick Bamford's that kind of player. I think he's more of a natural goal scorer, if that makes sense. You know, in terms of, you know, he needs chances, he needs that creativity around him to, you know, find the right movements, etc, etc. For me, I'd bring Pablo in for this game. I just think we lack creativity at the moment, and I don't think I think it's unfair to put it down to Patrick Bamford that we're not scoring enough goals. You know, I think personally, that's just my personal opinion, guys. I might get a lot of criticism for this myself, but I'm backing Patrick Bamford 100%. I've backed him all season when he went on that 11-game goalless run. This is what Patrick Bamford does in terms of goal scoring. You know, he is that type of player where I think he's been an influence all season, but his goal scoring has been quite inconsistent. You know, he's one of those. He's always been a striker who will score 8 in 8 and then not score for another 8 games, but he still influences games within those 8 he doesn't score in, if that makes sense. I just think he's a massively underrated player in the team, probably the most underrated player in the team. You know, I think you talk about crucial players in this system. For me, he's the 3rd most important player in the team after Ben White and Calvin Phillips. Ben White, Calvin Phillips, Patrick Bamford. If we don't sign any players in January, and one of those 3 gets injured, we've got a massive problem because there's no one else in the team for me who can defend like Ben White does, and the composure, the ability on the ball. There's no one in the team who comes close to Calvin's quality in terms of shielding, you know, the defence, quality on the ball, quality of pass, set pieces, etc, etc. And then Patrick Bamford, we haven't got another centre forward at the club. You can say whatever you want about Patrick Bamford, but he still has to start week in, week out at the moment. He still brings something to the team I don't think anyone else can in that central forward role. So those three players are absolutely critical. And, you know, I just feel, you know, we underrate Bamford, and we see the way the team goes when Pat Bamford doesn't play. I'm not saying I wouldn't sign a striker in January. We need to sign a striker in January because it can't just be down to Patrick Bamford for the next 19 games, playing 90 minutes after 90 minutes after 90 minutes, pressing, and, you know, being able to score enough goals and consistently influence games. It's just not going to happen. You know, I talk about, you know, a lot gets talked about the 70-20 split between strikers. That I think Chelsea's a good example of this, to be fair, with Tammy Abraham and Michy Batshuayi. You know, they very often, Abraham will come off after 70 minutes. He may score, he may do whatever, and then Batshuayi will come on, and more often than not gets himself a goal as well. You know, there's statistical evidence that says that when you make changes like that, the striker who comes on scores goals, because most of the time Bamford in this instance has done so much in the 70 minutes. He's tired out the defence, he's opened up the spaces, and he's just tired out the rest of the back line, and it creates the, you know, the extra time for the striker coming on. You know, he's coming on with fresh legs against a tired defence, and it's upset the whole balance. You know, you have to have two strikers. You have to have two striking options, and for me, a striker is absolutely critical. So don't get me wrong about that. I'm just saying that the striker we've got at the moment isn't the problem. You know, the lack of creativity, the lack of performances off us in recent times, and yeah, the lack of our option off the bench. I think we're too reliant on Bamford, and it's affecting Bamford as well as ourselves. You know, so don't blame Bamford for me. I think this preview's turned into pretty much a defending Patrick Bamford show, but for me, I just think he's massively underappreciated in this team, and he's going to deliver a big performance against QPR. But guys, make sure you give us a comment on what your feelings are coming into this game. For me, I think Eze is a key player in this team. You know, we've got to win that battle. You know, KP's got to win that battle against Eze. I felt in the game at Ellen Road, you know, he had too much joy. You know, I know we won the game, but he had too much joy for me. He was making a lot of things happen, and he's a top player. But we have to talk about people like Naki Wells, Jordan Hugill, Jack Clark going there as well. So they've got a lot of good creativity. They play good football. They're a possession-based team, so we're going to have a bit less of the ball than what we used to. I think they have more, well, in fact, they did have more ball than us at Ellen Road at the start of the season. I think they had 51% of the ball. Very rare you see us beating on possession stats, so it shows that they like to play football. You know, they're not going to come here, not going to play at home and defend against us. They're terrible at the back, to be honest. They're terrible at the back, and spaces should open up. But we've got to make sure we're on it defensively. Got a lot of players individually who can create moments of magic, so we've got to make sure we're on it. And I just think it's a back to basics approach. You know, going back to what's worked the last couple of weeks and what hasn't worked. And for me, that's the way we go into this game. But I back Patrick Bamford all the way. Back the team all the way. I think they've done amazing things this season. And there's a long way to go. But let's just keep calm. Keep everything in context. You know, we're still 6 points clear. Yes, we're in a bit of a bad run of form. Yes, Brentford look threatening. But let's just keep calm. Calm. But guys, I'm going to leave it there. Make sure you check out Joe's match preview of the game, which is going up on Friday morning. And we'll leave it there, guys. See you later.